Alright, hello. Playing some Kerbal here. I'm gonna have to play with the volume. The volume is very loud. I can't get options to come up for some reason, but we'll play with it. Alright, so I got a bunch of mods. That was one of the things holding me up from playing Kerbal was the mods I needed to download. It's we're gonna check some of our parts here. I need to be able to do some stuff. Alright, so I'm gonna change to the other editor. First thing I'm going to do is build my shuttle. We have a 2.5. I downloaded a bunch of mods, so I got to play with them. So let's start with a 2.5 fuselage here. We'll play with it. We'll see if I need something else later. But let's see, structural should be under structural, I believe. It's been forever since I played this, so bear with. Payload. Alright, so it's probably these. So here are all the 2.5 parts. No, that's interesting. That's interesting. So you can have kind of a large John. That's interesting there. I like that. We'll play with some parts here. That's it. I actually like that. That's pretty interesting. So I like to do strato launchers, so that's something I'm going to do. Likely to start. Just looking at all the parts here that I have. So let's start simply. I'm just looking. It's a nose cargo bay. Just trying to get this to attach here. That's interesting. That's very interesting how some of these are working. All right, good. I like this part set. This is pretty cool. Very neat. Yeah, these are some neat parts, so. Okay. So that's the regular cargo bay. That's a 3x. Okay, good. There's a cargo ramp there. It's interesting. A lot of cool parts for this. So what I like to do is straddle launchers. So it's an airplane essentially with the it's an airplane that launches a shuttle on top of it. So that's what I think we're kind of starting with here. Okay. I'm making sure we have all my parts that I want because some of these are the inflatables, I think. That was cargo. I want to make sure I have all my mods that I need. That's the big cargo bay. I need some big stuff too because I like to, so I tend not to go too far afield. I tend to go like say to the moon I don't go very far, so I like to make space stations, stuff like that. So. Okay, I'm gonna have to do a mod for some gear because I hate these gear. So I'll add a mod. But I'm just kind of playing at the moment. I think let's start simply. Let's go ahead and we'll make a rocket. And we'll land it with parachutes to make it simple. And yeah, we'll kind of start small, I think. I don't want to go too excessive at the beginning here. All right, let's see. I'm just kind of playing with these, seeing what they look like. This here is a... Right, the inventory slot 6. Okay. We can see if we can get it. Let's see if I can do an SSTO. Used to be able to build these pretty reliably. We'll see. What diameter is this? That's a what? I don't know where to look on any of this stuff anymore. I used to be able to quickly assess this stuff. 2 pilots. Okay, that's where the pilots are. That's 4. That's 2. All right, let's try to make a SSTO to start with. And that is what? That's the size. So that is a... I can't see the diameter. What's the diameter? 1 meter? Nope. It's huge. Alright. It's cool to have some huge parts, though. We need that. Yeah, I gotta add a, there's another set of parts I want. Alright, so that's 2-meter service bay. Alright, so 2.5 meters. It should be at the top, right? Let's see. Yeah, see, that one doesn't show it. That's why I was struggling to figure it out. That's interesting there, too. Alright, good. Just kind of looking at parts. Alright, let's see if I can whack together a SSTO here. Alright, that's 1600 delta V with that sucker. Alright, so C and X. Okay, good. Starting to remember where some of these keybinds are. It's been a very long time since I really played. So that's monopropellant only. That's why it was such a low number. That one's pretty good on delta V. I need to try to get legs in there that are going to behave themselves. So. Okay. Now we need a fuel tank with liquid. That's liquid fuel oxidizer, liquid fuel oxidizer. What? That's 4,000 delta V. Thrust to weight ratio is not high enough, so we can't do that. Alright, and then let's look at jet engines here. So I'm going to try to do one of my classic SSTOs. Whether it will work or not, we'll see. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's huge. Looking for docking port. Get some of these parts from this set that I like to use, but not all of them, it appears. So the inflatables are the one I'm kind of looking for. Okay, and then I need a parachute. Alright, there we go. Let's start with this. Forget how to stage. So I gotta try to remember stage. Staging, staging, staging. Thrust to weight's good. Well, it's good with those. So that's 0.77. That should be good. Let's go to electrical. I want some solar. Okay. And now I figured how to stage. Center of mass overview. Center of thrust. Aerodynamics. Okay. Center of lift. Actions. That's it right there. Okay. One is toggle engine. Two is going to be toggle engine. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll test this out. Wow, it's been so long since I played. Alright. Alright, there's throttle. Alright, I gotta bring this back. Let's see, how do we get this back now? Yeah, I gotta go back. How do you go back? I can't remember shit about the game. Revert flight. There we go. Alright, that will do it. And then we need some more actions. 9 will be extend retract. 6 will be parachutes. 8 will be solar. Alright, there we go. Let's try launching now. And then I need something for the switch for the engines. So that's these. Switch mode. Alright, there we go. My hand is remembering where some of these. Yep, my hand remembers SAS. Alright. how do we revert back? All right, good. So starting to make some progress here. Let's see. That is what? That is, see, this should just be liquid fuel. So we're going to take out the oxidizer here. That's good. All right. Well, that ain't gonna work. I might go right to a, I think if I want to go right to a, go right to a shuttle. Let's go right to a three shuttle. This is what I've used the most for, so. Do that. Structural. That's the 2.5, so we want the 3. I'm using Kerbal control. I'm using Stormworks controls there. We need more fuel than that. Let's go ahead and go up a fuel tank here. All right. All right, that's gonna be yeah. No, stop it. I wanted you where I had you there, guy. Okay, that's good there. Trying to see. I've done without procedural wings before. Trying to see. Fill that with liquid fuel. And I'm trying to remember how to move this down. I think I have to get rid of C. Yeah, C, and I can put it down there. So we'll look at center of gravity, center of thrust, center of lift. The center of lift is pretty far aft. So I think we're going to have to go to... I don't like using the stock wings. So let's go ahead and we'll use the procedural wing here. Okay. So that's liquid fuel. That's what I want. And I forget how to stretch this. Alright. Forget how to stretch the procedural wing. Is it shift? No. Control? No. Alt? No. Let's see. Alright, B plus mouse drag. Alright, so that's... Okay, so that's there. T, thickness, size, or shape of the wingtip. Okay. G adjusts overall shape. Alright, there we go. Alright. Alright, there we go. And then I need control surfaces. Alright, here are the control surfaces. Alright, there we go. All moving. This is procedural control surface. That's what I want. Okay. What's the last one? T or G? BTG. Alright, that's going to be my roll there. Okay, good. Structural. Structural 2.5. Alright, let's look at the jet engines here. Then I need to work on gear because I hate these gear. I like the recessed gear, so I gotta find those to mod. I really hate these like sticking out gear. They look silly as hell. let's go to actions. One is going to be these. Toggle engine. 2 is going to be this. Toggle engine. 9 is going to be gear. Extend, retract. Extend, retract. Alright, sounds good. Let's go ahead and we'll give it a test. Yeah, I got some more mods I need to get, but I'll make good progress. Let's test it out. Pitch. Is it doing roll? Oh, it's okay. That's roll. Yeah. All right. Looking for about 60, maybe more. 80. Say 80. Alright, now I figured how to... I gotta figure out how to get to the... M key, okay. Up 2's out, so. This is not how this is going to launch. This is going to be a straddle launcher, so it's going to ride in the back of an airplane. And then once it gets up high, the only point of these small engines is going to be for return, so. But just kind of proof of concept. I'm going to go hit the head real fast. I'll be back. Alright, so that's a good start. Do I even save this? I'm going to save it real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and... Alright, so let's build a new shuttle. And then I'm going to go ahead and we will... I'm going to build a new shuttle and we'll build the straddle launcher after that. It's the Mark III. Where's the Mark II? That's the big Mark III. So is there only like an eccentric on this one? No, they got the short. They got these. They got the it's in here somewhere. I saw it earlier. It's this one. Yeah, so we'll build a small one to start with, and then go from there. Trying to get back in the swing of things here. So that is a rocket fuel tank. That is a mono. Liquid fuel tank. Liquid. And then do they have a shape one? No. Not that I see yet. Could be one. There we go. That one's good. And then we want... we're going to look for an engine. Alright, let's go ahead and find some engines for this. Range on. So that was 0.65. with that. What's that one looking like there? That's a high thrust to weight, higher than we need. We'll go back to fuel tank, see if I can finish this up differently. Could do that. It's starting to get longer than I like. Let's see. Mark 2.5. Okay, so here's the cabin for this. Alright, so I want that. Let's see. Don't actually necessarily want that right now. It's got a probe core, so I can run it remotely without anybody in it. That's that way adapter. It's a 2.3 port. That's a good amount of delta V. I like that. And then we'll take a... Alright, intakes. And then we want just jet engines. I think, what do I normally use these? So right now we're at 2.1, so we're good there. Alright, those are going to be for pitch only. Pitch only, that one's yaw. Alright. Procedural wing. This is really screwing my brain up with Stormworks controls. Alright, good. I need some gear on this sucker. And then I'll get better gear later when I can download the mods that I want. Alright, now we'll go with this stuff. Oh, we'll go give this a test flight. See how we like it. Why is this weak? It's like it's bouncy. So doing it as a straddle launcher, that this gets launched by an airplane. The benefits of that is it makes it so that, you know, because when the shuttle is leaving, it's heavy, and so you need a lot more thrust from the engines. These engines are pretty much going to be just to help it, oh shit. It's just going to be so that the, all it's going to be for is so that the engine has enough thrust to return it when it's empty. So what we should actually do is, oh, Jesus Christ. Is there a control, is there a Control Z? Yeah, okay, Control Z, I can do it. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to kill the fuel and the oxidizer in there. And then we're going to go with, actually, we probably want, like, say that much. Let's say we have that much left. This is empty. And that's about probably what it will look like when it comes back to land. How's it going there, Storm? How are you? It probably, if I put canards on, that would help. I'll put them on for now. I really don't want canards on here, but we'll do it. Put canards on for now. And then I can take them off later when I don't want them. Canards will help at the, for pitch at the moment. All right. Give it a run. It's one thing I really like Stormworks building system. Like, you know, it's like when people complain about the space DLC, I get it, but it's also, it's like, you know, if it was done right, it would have been cool. So like this is like 140 knots. So 140 knots is about takeoff. trying to think if I want to just say, let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and I just want to get something built today. So let's do that. Stop screwing around. You know, I'm pretty damn rusty with Kerbal, so we'll just kind of try to get ahead here. Get some winds in, get something up into orbit. And I can get into straddle launchers then. What's that? That's a 5, so definitely is too small. That's actually not too bad. 1.13. It's not terrible. That's better. There's the standard couplers. Standard couplers here. Okay, good. So there's more 2.5 parts that I didn't notice. Oh dear Christ, could you just attach, please? Thank you. Oh my god, this is annoying. There's the hose. There's the hose. Okay, and then let's stage this. So one's gonna be Toggle engine. Toggle engine. 2 is going to be the clamps. Release clamp. 3 is going to be the radial decouplers. Alright, let's blow this. Yeah, I haven't played in a while. Let's see. So you pretty much want to get out to where you're in space. So in here, it's about 70,000 meters is space. So right about there is space, and we kill the engines. All right. Now we're gonna. You see how it's going down? We want to go a little bit over 70. Then we want to go to the apoapsis. That's the top, and we want to click on an add maneuver. And then we want to circularize. What circularize doing is making it so that you're at the same distance generally. So we're 72 there. 78, that's pretty good. It's not too bad. And so we don't need to do anything. We're pretty much on, we're just cruising right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this and go down and just pretty much face the, if you look at this node there, that's actually where our relative heading is, or our, be where the relative angle to the wind is, if that was a thing here, but it's not. And then that's our maneuver node right there. So right now, this is the prograde. So I'm going to click on prograde, and this will kind of automatically keep prograde for us. And as we get up to that AP, the apoapsis, that prograde is going to drop, and it's going to about meet the maneuver node, and that's what I'm going to burn here. And if I look at my delta V, I still have 3,400 delta V left, and I need 1,400 to stay in space, which isn't going to be a problem. So that noise, that sound means we're in space. We're over 70,000 meters. Our node's in 25 seconds, and the burn time is 38 seconds. So now that we're in space, we can actually just aim at our maneuver node. Here comes 9, 8, 7. And if we watch, you can see this is extending. So we're going this way, so we're speeding up so that we don't, so we're overcoming gravity essentially. I probably should have started this a little earlier. And then once that gets to about 0, we want to stop it. I'm going to reassess and see where we need to go. All right. And I'm just barely puffing the engine here to run off the rest of it. All right, so what we're going to do is stop. And I need to go up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and just aim up, because this one here is going to take us too low, so I need to point up. And if, oh, shit. If you notice here, see that's coming up? This one's going way up, so we're going to need to correct that. That's fine, but I need to get this one. So here, I'm actually going to stop it. So I want to go normal. Is it normal or anti-normal? It's got to be, no, it's not normal or anti-normal. I want radial out. So I'm trying to extend here because we're like right now we're actually going to be too low, and you see how we're at 60 something? That means we're going to be hitting atmosphere and dragging down. So what I want to do is go up. You notice that's going to come up, and we're going to get ourselves out into the You notice that's going up now. And so we need to get back up out of the atmosphere, up above 70. So this is burning, this is using a bunch of fuel on us here. But we still should have plenty. All right, now we're back in space. So we're going to be in space, but you notice how eccentric this is? That's fine. We can correct it later. All right, so now if we look here, we've got this node here. And we'll edit it. And that was because I screwed up the maneuver. I screwed it up, so. I'm going to kill this maneuver. I want to grab this one, add a maneuver, and then what we want to do is we're going to try to circularize. All right, so see how they flip? That's because they're about the same number. So I'm just going to go like this. All right, so that's 237. That's 236. It's almost geostationary. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'll face my maneuver node. Ah, shit, I just canceled it. No, that should be fine. That's good. Okay. And we don't, so once you're up in space, you don't have to do much in correction. And so if you look, we only have a 3-second burn, and we're 10. So what I should have done last time is I should have, when I was about 50%, so if it was, say it was a 30-second burn, I should have gone 15 seconds before I got to my apoapsis and burned 15 seconds after. So. You can see my friends there. My friends. But just trying to get back in the swing of things here. And then I can go ahead and... Where's the accelerate time? Warp. So I can speed up time here. You want to be careful doing this. There's another way to do it. I just can't remember the keybind. And you notice how it's the maneuver node is going to prograde, because that's what we end up needing to do is go prograde on this. So now I'm in real time. So what I'm going to do is press 1 to shut the engine off. Shit. Why is that not shutting the engine off? That's going to screw that up now. All right. And because we're so far out away from the planet, we're at like 237 kilometers. I don't need much power out here on this side to, like, see how big I extended it? So that's how you save some. Now, we'll wait till we get back here, and we'll burn off the rest right around there because I need 0.1 seconds. So I need 0.1 second of full thrust to move this out from 224 to 237. So 10 kilometers difference. And we're pretty good there. There we go. All right, so we're pretty good. We're pretty much on the money. You see them flipping? That's because they're close to one another. All right, so now we're in orbit. So, you know, people talk about, like, the... if you think about the... I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. If you think about reentry effects, so reentry effects are all about saving fuel. You could take a marble and you could drop it as long as its relative velocity was 0 from space. You could drop it and it would just go straight down. It would never reach a speed in which it would heat the hull, really. And so as long as you have enough thrust to, like, say, almost stop the vehicle, it will go straight down in a ballistic trajectory and it will not heat very much. The reason why we need all these heat shields and everything else is because we don't have that much fuel on board and you can't slow down. So you're using the atmosphere to slow you down, which creates a lot of heat. You know, so if we could invent engines where they were very, very, you know, fuel efficient, or nuclear engines or something like that, you could essentially just slam on the brakes, stop the ship, go down, and you would need no or minimal anything to keep you from having reheating problems. re-entry problem. So like, for example, let's say right here at this apoapsis, I added a maneuver and I said, okay, I want to re-enter and I want to land at the Space Center. We can do that. Probably not from there, actually. So let's say we do it from here. And we go and I put that right there. So that's where I want to land, right? And we look at what that's going to cost me, 589 meters per second of delta V. So I'm slowing us 589 meters per second. But if you look, I'm going 2,000 meters per second. So that means that I need the atmosphere to burn off another 1,500 meters per second. That's brutal. That means that we're going to get a lot of heating, so I need heat shields. If I go ahead and I go closer, and I really slow us down into a ballistic trajectory, like that, you notice I need 1,488 meters per second. So if you subtract that off, that's only 600 meters per second I need the atmosphere to slow me down. So right now I don't have that much. I only have 1,300. So what we're going to do is adjust this. And as you see, as I go to the right here, it's using less delta V. So let's say we go to about 1,100. So we have a little left. And we put it right there on the where we want to go. And I'm actually going to go a little past it here, because I can always slow down. I can't really speed up. And then, so that should be good there. And then I forget how to accelerate time without doing this. There's a keybind for it. You know, so put it this way. If you had a cannon, you shot it up vertically, straight up into space, and the bullet went up into space and then fell right back down, there'd be very little to no reentry effects, because it doesn't have that much speed. And so the friction against the atmosphere would be pretty minimal. And so that's essentially what I'm doing. I'm using my thrust to slow it down to decrease the amount of, heating. So the more ballistic trajectory you can get on reentry, the less you need. So if you're having problems where your vehicle's blowing up because it's too hot, all you have to really do is do a more ballistic trajectory, but you need more fuel to get stopped. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to the maneuver node. And we need to slow down in order for the Earth's gravity to bring us back. So what we're going to do is we're going to thrust retrograde, as you can see, and that's going to make us slow down. And so we're going to be there in 14 seconds. I need 16 seconds of burn. So at 8, I'm going to go full thrust. And you see, as we slow down, the Earth's gravity is going to bring us in. And bingo, about there is good. All right, so that's going to bring us in. Now, I want to face retrograde on the way in. And so that's going to make it so that my engine is always facing where we're headed. And I put on trajectories, the mod trajectories. I don't know where it is. Let's see. System monitor, flight engineer. Let's see, whatever that is. Maneuver tool. I don't see trajectories. This is docking port alignment indicator, which I love. Yeah, I don't see trajectories. So trajectories are really cool. Is a really cool mod that it shows you where you're going to land on the surface by seeing what the air resistance is going to be. So that makes it possible for you to do things like kind of SpaceX-y stuff, or if you're going to land a shuttle and have it glide in, that's really helpful. Now, let's say I had multiple tanks, right? Let's say I had 2 tanks, which is probably actually better than running a single tank. I would want all of my mass to be as low as possible, and it makes sense, right? Let's say you had a bowling ball and a stick. If you throw the bowling ball and the stick off of a building, the bowling ball is going to go to the bottom, and the stick is going to go to the top, because the bowling ball is heavy and the stick is light. Same thing with this rocket. If this is heavy and this is all light, this is going to want to go down and this is going to want to go up. And so if your rocket is flipping, it's because of mass. So one thing you can do is, we don't have a ton of fuel left. Yeah, we don't have much fuel left. But if you had a lot of fuel left, you could put it in the bottommost part of the tank, or you could have separate tanks and you essentially transfer all your fuel from this tank into the bottom tank. Now the bottom's heavy, the bottom is going to want to go first, and you're not going to have to fight it. This is where, like with space planes, I need to get as much mass forward as possible for reentry because it will try to flip backwards. And it would be the same way in a, for example, a real airliner. If you have too much mass in the back wants to be in the front. It wants to flip around and go forward. Same with a car. If you put too much mass in the back is going to want to go out front. And so by putting it in the middle, it gives you probably the best control. If you want inherent stability, for example, like reentry here, you want that mass forward so that whatever section you want to enter first is going to go in first. Now, I don't have any parachutes. I don't have any legs. We don't have enough fuel to land, essentially. Probably shouldn't get any. We're going to get re-entry effects. Like you see, we're at 2,000 meters per second. We're down to about 1,200 and climbing. We'll see if we overheat. We might. If we had more fuel, we could slow down even more. And we would never speed up to a speed that would cause the heating. Because the longer and the faster we're coming into the atmosphere, the more temperature we're going to create. If we, like I said, if we got ourselves stopped and we just completely stopped the rocket right over the launch center, it would barely heat because it would just come falling straight down. It would gain some speed, but it wouldn't gain enough speed to really cause the friction to cause it to burn up. All right, very nice. So yeah, we only have 197 delta V. There's a bunch of things you can do to help slow down. One, you can do maneuvers. So for example, when I have a space plane, that's really easy. I use the wings and the control surfaces to make turns, and those turns cause a lot of drag and cause you to slow down. You can do things like have speed brakes that will help you lose some of that. You can use parachutes, and you can also use the thrust of the engines. We don't have enough fuel to really make an appreciable difference here right now. Because right now we're at 1,700 meters per second. We've kind of re-accelerated. And we have 197 meters per second of delta V. So, you know, we're only able to knock off about 200 meters per second. If I had the trajectories mod working, it would allow me to see where we're going to land, and I would have had... All right, so watch it flip around. See how it's flipping around? That's, again, because the mass is probably heavier up top than it is in the bottom. If the mass was all down here, it would likely stay pointing that direction. All right, so see how it didn't burn up? Part of that was the ability of me to get it slowed down so much. If I had more fuel, I would get even less re-entry effects. That must be real fun for them in there. That's fun. Yeah, so see, we're not going to have any problems with re-entry. So, see how I was actually almost able to stop it? Let's see. I was almost able to stop it because just the air resistance was able to slow us down to about 250, and I had 200 delta V left. So I don't need that much delta V to really get it stopped. So kind of a not a bad, terrible first design here. We're going to change a bunch of shit, but let's do that. All right. All right, so one thing I want to do is Might as well have it face in the correct direction to start with. Let's go to legs. So there are landing legs for us. Alright, and then let's go ahead and get some fuel tanks here. That's not the right one. Alright, good. So let's get couplers. Let's do these. Alright, so the main thing, they call this asparagus staging in Kerbal. And kind of what it's doing is, you're taking the, and this is how you want to set up. You want to take the fuel from the outside in, and the reason is all of this weighs something. So if you can suck the fuel out of these outside tanks and jettison them, you're able to lose all that mass, and that is helpful for the rest of the trip up. Let's find some baby tanks here. Nope. So we need more Delta V. Parachutes, this thing would have landed fine with a parachute, so. Okay. So right now we're at 2.5 with 4100 Delta V. The other thing is the type of engine you use. So for example, we can get rid of that. No, we don't want to quite get rid of that. Let's see what this is going to give us mass-wise. So that right there is 0.38. And if we got rid of that, that's... How's it still 0.38? I don't get that. This type of bell, you want a wider bell for actually operating in space. So that is 1.2, so that's pretty good. We want to add some... small over here. Let's see. Right there, that is 2.6 on the way out. We don't need that much acceleration. We're probably going to cost ourselves a lot on that. So, because that's whatever those were, too heavy. That's 4.5, 9. I'm trying to find the right engines to use here. That's 0.9. So right there, yeah, that's not enough there. Let's do liquid. And then, where's the hose? Hose. Or, I meant fuel. I said liquid, I meant fuel. There's fuel, hose. So what we want to do is we want to have these go from the outer tanks to the inner tank so that these drain into the inner tank, and then we jettison all the extra mass. And that put us up to 409. We need engines. Why am I not seeing these little engines right now? Alright, so that's 1.26. And that's 850 there. They should like group these by size. It's brutal trying to figure this out sometimes. Alright, so let's do that. Alright. Alright, now we want some parachutes. Alright, let's get the parachutes on board. Alright, let's start staging. So we're looking pretty good on Delta V. Alright, we got custom 1 is going to be all the engines. 9 is going to be the gear. Let's say 6 is the gear. 9 is going to be parachutes. Alright, there we go. See if we can make less of a mess of this. Oh, nice. You're working on a sub. Alright. Okay, why is my gear not going? There we go. So if you notice, you get the prograde node. That if it was an airplane, that would be where it's facing toward the relative wind. And when people have stability problems, one of the problems is they're out chasing that. You need to stay with the relative wind because that's what's going to cause it to flip, because you're causing huge amounts of lift on one side, huge amounts of drag in the other, and it's causing a flip. Alright, so you see they're about to run out here. Oh shit. I didn't set up a jettison. Alright, I gotta revert back. I didn't set up a jettison. So I gotta set up a jettison here. Alright, so what's 2? 1, 2. 2 is gonna be we need to decouple. And then let's see, I want to put some I want some solid propellant engines to push these off. So these are Separatrons. And this just helps me separate them. And we'll put a Sepratron right here. Alright, so that's going to push the bottom away. Oh, that's the wrong way. That would have been a mess. Alright, so that's going to push the bottom away, and it's going to push the top away, so we don't have any collisions, hopefully. Yep, and then that's going to be on 3, so... So, or on 2. We'll do it the same as this. So, toggle engine, toggle engine, toggle engine. All right. All right. Again, we don't want to try to outrace that prograde too much, or we are. You would stall out. So it's essentially like in an airplane. If I make too abrupt of maneuver, I could stall. So I need to wait till the relative wind is still in line with my, in this case, the lifting body of the craft. I don't have any fins, so that's going to be something I need to put on there. So that, you see that gets rid of those a little bit more efficiently. And now I don't have good steering because I don't have fins, so we're going to work on that. Sorry if I'm talking loud. I kind of realize I'm talking loud. All right. So let's grab some fins. All right. That's going to give us a little bit better control. If I had a really good gimbling engine in the bottom, that wouldn't need it as much. Now with some fins, we can kind of be a little bit more aggressive with our moves. Up, up, up. I didn't have stability on, so that helped. All right, there we go. Just hand flying it, essentially. So wherever that prograde is actually where your relative, where you're going. So where I'm pointed really isn't where I'm going, it's where that prograde is. So like I want it about on a 45. So I'm bringing it down, I'm trying to get it on 90 and on a 45. So like if it was too far toward the, I'm trying to look where that is, too far towards the south, I would have to correct back north to drag it back up. And there we go. All right, so those are gone. So we burn the fuel out of those tanks, and then we jettison all the excess weight because we don't want or need it. If you look at our delta V, we still have about 4,400 delta V, so we got a lot of delta V. And I want to keep us coming up pretty far up because I don't want to, I'm trying to drag that prograde up. And the reason is the atmosphere is thick and has a lot of drag, and I have to fight the atmosphere. So I want to get us into space as early as possible. So I'm trying to keep us going up more than forward. So I don't want to let that nose come down. Because it might look like I'm going more up, but like look at where the prograde is. Prograde's at 30 degrees instead of 45 where I want it, so. That's part of that's the thrust to weight's pretty low, but it's saving me some fuel, so. Theoretically, if I don't get up out of this atmosphere, it's not saving me anything for fuel. Probably gonna be too weak of an engine there in the back because we're gonna be in the atmosphere too long, so we're gonna burn a lot of excess fuel coming up. So like now I'm able to control a little bit better. I'm trying to get that node pulled back up, trying to get out of this atmosphere. So the difference is like on a straddle launcher, which is where you launch it off the back of an airplane, you want to stay where the airplane can. All right, so you want to stay where the airplane can get you, where it works well in the atmosphere. So you want to go fast laterally first, and then you detach it. So we're going to get up all the way to 80, and we're going to stop. All right, good. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on our node, and we want to circularize. All right, we're going to do it right this time. All right, when those flip, we're about even. So there's 81, 84, pretty close. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and we're not quite in space yet, but we can go to prograde. We still have 2,700 meters per second, and we need 1,300. So we're going to have about, what is that, 1,400 left? 1,400 left after this burn. The burn time is 56 seconds. We're going to divide it in half. So at about 30 seconds, we're going to start. All right, we're in space. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to our maneuver node now. Because if there's any drag, I don't want to add drag to us here. At about 30 seconds, I'm going to go full thrust. And that's going to accelerate us. So we're going so slow that the Earth wants to pull us back towards it. By going faster, it's counteracting the Earth trying to pull us towards it. And so now you see the prograde coming down. Again, that's our relative direction. And so because we're thrusting below it, it wants to now come down to us. All right, so we should be, you notice this is getting pushed away from us slowly. So we're about halfway done with our burn. And we're just past the node, and you see it growing. And so now we're aiming above where our relative direction is. And so I'm just gently thrusting there, and then bingo. We've got 78, and we've got 82. And I can go to, all right, so that's pretty good there. So that's fine. Now we're circularized. So we're in an orbit that's stable. If we went below 70, the drag from the atmosphere would slow us down, and we'd eventually go in. But we're good here. We're in a nice circularized orbit. And I can shut off SAS just to save some electricity. How's it going there, Jay? How are you? All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to accelerate around, and I want to land back on there. So let's go ahead and we'll accelerate. All right, stop. There we go. All right, so here's where we're supposed to be going there, right there. So I'm going to accelerate time to get over there. And remember, so I could start right here. Let's play with these nodes. So if I started right here, say, and I added a maneuver, this would be very cheap in fuel. And this is why you get, you need all the heat shielding. So right there, that node's going to require 251 meters per second. That's not right at all. If I move it over here, yeah, that's about right. So that required 251 meters per second of fuel. I have 1,400. That means I have a ton left. But I'm only stripping 200 off this 2,000 meters per second. So I'm using the atmosphere, which saves me fuel. But it is very, it's going to cause a lot of heating. Right now, this is 964. That's going to use more fuel, but I'm slowing down by quite a bit more, and I'm not going to heat as much, so I don't really need any or as much heat shielding. Here, I'm using 1,300, so I need even less. So what I'm going to do is I want a little bit left, so I'm going to go to about there. That's 1,000. That's going to give me 400 left. All right, so we're going to do that. Let's actually go a little bit further out because if I had trajectories on, it would show me right where I'm going to land. I don't know why. I don't know why trajectory's not working. Yeah, I gotta find up what's up with trajectories. It might not work anymore. I don't know. All right, so let's accelerate up to that. So you see how like we could have done as little as 200 meters per second to get slowed down to go back, but it would have caused a lot of heating on the ship. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna aim towards our maneuver node, which is gonna be backwards. So it's gonna be retrograde because we need to slow down. And as we slow down, it's gonna let the Earth pull us back in, which is gonna bring this in until it, intersects the planet. So. All right, we need 29 seconds. Here we go. Let's start it up. And we can watch where this goes. And I'm keeping it out in the water because as we enter the atmosphere, the game's not really accounting for atmospheric braking, so. And I would like enough delta V left that I can theoretically land without parachutes. All right, so we'll go to there. We still have 321 meters per second left. So if we were if you saw last time, we were doing about, I want to switch to prograde. If you saw last time, we were, nope, shit, I want to go to retrograde. Wrong way. If you saw last time, we got slowed down to like 250 meters per second. And I had about 230 meters per second left of delta V. So I was almost able to slow us down to a stop, which would allow us to land. All right, so we want to keep the aircraft facing prograde here. I'm sorry, retrograde, because we want the back to go in. If it was a spaceship, or if it was a shuttle with wings, we want the nose to go in, and we would face prograde. All right, so now you'll notice as we start encountering the atmosphere, see this line is going to get pulled in from drag. And if we wanted to go more towards the space center, we'd have to re-angle it. And as you can barely see it, but as you see, once we get in the atmosphere, this line will start pulling in toward there. So now it looks like an overshoot, right? But as you see, as we start to hit this atmosphere, see we're speeding up here, but eventually when we start slowing down, that's going to come rocketing in at us. So we got re-entry effects, but we're pretty slow. We're not doing 2,000 meters per second. We're coming in at about 1,400, and you see how we're quickly slowing down. We're using that atmosphere to help slow us down. And the weight is, we've got too much weight up front, and that's why it's trying to go forward. So we need to move some of that weight down toward the rear. It wants to go retrograde, but there's not enough weight in the back, and the reason is likely because I changed out the engine, so the engine's probably lighter. So a heavier engine would help us to land on our ass. All right, so see how we're slowing down nicely? We didn't burn up. We didn't need heat shielding because we got it nice and slow. We're down now at 260 meters per second, and I still have 300 meters per second delta V. So if the engine was actually facing the correct direction, which it's not, we'd be able to land with just the engine. All right, so now it's starting to orient itself back the way I want it, because it's slow, and those fins are able to start to control it. We're going to try to do a landing if I can. So the you see we're only doing about 117 meters per second, which is not slow. It's that's annoying when it does this. That's not slow. It's about 200 miles an hour. But I have about 500 miles an hour fuel left. Oh shit. I hit the wrong button. So see how I'm able to slow it down? There we go. So you can see how we were able to get it pretty much landed. I was close on the Delta V. Pretty damn close, so not too bad. So we had some issues here. We need more Delta V. We're in the atmosphere too long, which is costing us Delta V. Let's look at our engine options. We flipped around because that engine was too light. So it weighs 3.7, and it has a thrust of 494 kilonewtons. This one here is... I'm trying to find the one we used. This one here is 6 tons, so it has 1,200 kilonewtons. So that might have been the one I had on before. Yeah, that was the one I had on before. So you see the thrust to weight ratio is much higher. It's not as fuel efficient. So we want something in the middle here. So that's what? That's 6. This does not make a ton of thrust. So that's not going to work for us. Like that one there is a little bit better, probably. So yeah, I want to put some mass in the bottom with engines. So like that one there is not quite powerful enough. What we can do is put an adapter on there. And then these have better gimbals too. All right, so now it's at 1.98, 4.2. That's not as much, but we've got some good control of this now. And then let's go ahead and take these off for a second and grab some fuel tanks. Because we have more thrust now, so I can go with heavier, I can go with more fuel. Do this one. Christ on a cracker, will you add? Thanks. I need to move the Separatrons here. Need to be about right about there. Okay, so that's pretty good there. That increased the Delta V out. That's good. And what we'll do is this. Raise those up a little bit. Alright. Shit. I didn't... Just do this one here is easiest. Yeah, I kind of do this one here because it's all there. I've got a set of 3 and it's based off of this one. Come on, Christ, get the thing on the thing. There you go, scoundrel. Okay. There we go. All right. So that's looking better there. Oh shit, they're a little bit low, but I can do this and raise them up just a fucking Christ. Give me this part, thanks. Alright. Separatrons are all in the right place. That's in the right place. That's better. Alright. So that's going to add some more mass with the... Why is this all crooked? That's going to add more mass with the engine, so hopefully it keeps the bottom down. We get some more fuel in there. Let's give it a run. Make sure everything... I got to redo the action groups. All right, 1 is going to be... Add these. 2 is the decouple. That's good. 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 9 is parachutes if we need them. All right. All right. So you see how those are more gimbly, the engines in the bottom. That's going to help us with doing what I want to do here, which is keep this going at about a 45 up. Also, the extra thrust is going to help us get through the atmosphere quicker. So we're at 45 better, and you see we're going faster already. So all that weight's gone. So now we no longer have to carry that. And we're trying to go up at 45. You see we're coming up steeper. And that's going to give us a... we're going to get into space quicker. And then we're going to be able to shut our engines off, coast into space, and then use a flatter trajectory to get us circularized. So we're not fighting any atmosphere. So as soon as this hits about, let's say 80, let's kill it. 70 is the minimum, so the problem is I'm trying to get it where I can put a space station up. You want to be able to, if you go lower, around 70, for example, you use up less fuel. Or you, no, that's not right. When you're at 70, you're going faster, so if you're trying to catch up to the station, you'd go lower. If you're trying to let the station catch up to you, you would go higher, and it means you're going slower relative to, you know, whatever you're trying to intercept, because we're going to have a space station. So space station will go around 80. All right, so that is looking at 84.79. Let's get that a little bit there. 81.79. 79. 81. That's pretty good. I like that. All right. So that's going to be our... and then if you notice, see how we're a little crooked to the where the we can do that if we wanted. 81, 79, that looks good. We can go like this and we can change 79 like that. Okay, good. So that's pretty good. That's got us a good circularization there. It's going to be a 43, so it's going to be about 21 seconds. So when it hits 21 seconds, we want to get there. We're already in there, so we're going to go ahead and maneuver node. So at 21 seconds, we're going to thrust until we burn up 1,400. We're at 33 right now. So we burned a little bit more fuel than the last one. The last one was a little bit more fuel efficient. Now, these engines are really good, the ones we have on here, for getting us into orbit. They're not great in space. There's different engines for different use cases. These are good to get us into space. They're not very fuel efficient in orbit. Shit, I missed my... I'm a little late. I'm going to look at this, see what it looks like. All right, that's all bonkers now. I don't know why it was dancing like that. So we want radial out. What the hell's going on here? All right, radial out's going to be the only way we can pick this up and try to save this, because see how this is dropping? We don't want it to go back below 70, or else it's going to cause us problems with So that's pushing us straight away from the planet. You notice this one is coming up. This one's going down a little bit. I'm going to let that go past us. All right. All right, and now I want to cancel this off, and I want to build a new node. And I want to push that out. All right. All right, so now that's 76 and that's 77. That's good. Let's go back to the maneuver node. We only need 18 meters per second to save this, so it really wasn't that far off. That's only 0.4 seconds of burn, so it's really pretty minimal. We still have 1,800 meters per second of delta V. So right now the other node is showing, where is it at now? See how that's too low? It's at 56. We flipped them essentially. That would bring us back in the atmosphere and we deorbit. So we need to get that one back up over 70. So here we go. All right, good. That's at 77. That's at 76. Boom. We got a nice stable orbit here. And we're not going to deorbit. All right. So we have 1,800 meters per second of delta V left. So I want to leave like at least 400 delta V left. And I'm going to bring it all the way here to the... I want to get it right on there. And then what we want to do is we will... So we can do this to angle it. That's expensive, though, fuel-wise. And then what I want to do is extend it out like that. And we'll see what that burned. That's 1,000. So we'll have 800 left. So that looks pretty good to me. And we have to readjust it. But trajectories was nice because you could burn and it would show where the trajectory would be with accounted for the drag from the atmosphere. And so you could more accurately put it where you want it. Shit. Get off it there. All right, so I want to drag it to about there. Let's go to the maneuver node. Right about there. All right, we got to get going here on that burn. All right, now we want to go prograde, or retrograde, rather. All right, now we're on our way in. These engines, I didn't really check them. I should have checked them, but should weigh more. One of the reasons it's spinning is it's 3 fins instead of 4, so it's a little bit asymmetrical. We could turn on RCS. I don't know how much monopropellant we have in here. Let me see, it'll be up here. Monopropellant. We've got 30 units of monopropellant, so if we could use it a little bit to make sure we're not spinning. But we're on our way in now. And so you see right here, we're down to about 1,300. So we're already in the atmosphere, and we're pretty slow, so we're not going to really have any issue with, or we shouldn't, with reentry effects. Because we've used all that fuel up. We had 1,800 delta V, and we're down to 798. So we burned 1,000 delta V plus to get ourselves slowed, so we don't need a heat shield, essentially. So we have to carry that fuel with us. We need a bigger vehicle to be able to do that. Have electricity on here? All right, we still have plenty of electricity. All right, so you see we're starting to hit the atmosphere and get hot as we get into a thicker atmosphere, but we're not going to stay in that for as long because we're not going as fast, right? So it's going to be less friction. Yeah, those engines still aren't heavy enough because the capsule's way out there on a long stick, so that wants to go down. So you see it's not getting all that hot because we're already slowing down, and we're already pretty slow when we came into the atmosphere. Now the control surface, as we slow down, are going to try to right us. See, they're trying to right us now. So it's saying, hey, I want you to face forwards. If the weight was in the back, it would be easier. I'm going to put the gear out. The gear seemed to help last time. There might be something that they put in the gear. Like, it could be just the moving mass of the gear going down. So now you see, we're not going that fast. We're only going about 150 meters per second, about 300 knots. And I have 700 meters per second of delta V left, so. Alright, I wasn't able to slow it down fast enough. I could have used parachutes there. Alright. So we got good proof of concept on the vehicle. Probably start a new vehicle. Alright. So that's pretty good. Let's save this as something. Let's see. Let's call it, let's see. 2-stage. 6, 11, 26. All right, let's save that. All right, and then let's start something new. I'm gonna make, try to make an SSTO. All right. There's going to be a vertical SSTO. Alright, so we're going to do a couple things here differently. Let's see. That's liquid fuel oxidizer. That is liquid fuel monopropellant oxidizer. That's going to be another fuel tank here. That's just a mono tank. It's just a liquid ox tank. Okay. I was trying to see if I had a... It's just mono. Liquid fuel ox. Liquid fuel ox. Alright. Let's go with that for now and see what we can do. Let's go to engines. And so, it's talking about like how these engines here, like, so we'll find them. So these engines here. So this thrust in atmosphere is 339 kilonewtons. Thrust in a vacuum is 363. If you look at engine ISP is essentially efficiency. So it's 295 in atmosphere and 315 in a vacuum. So the higher number, the better. If we go up to this engine here, this one here is much less thrust. Like this one of these is 339. And this one here is 118. So it's much less. It's about a third. If you look at this one in vacuum, it's only 315, and this one is 370. So this one's more fuel efficient in vacuum. It has that bigger bell. So the thrust to weight ratio looks good. We have 3,000 delta V, so that's probably not going to be enough. I need to do the same thing. I need to slow it down. So that's problematic how low that is on the thrust to weight ratio. Got good delta V, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this a we're gonna push it up with jets. So we're gonna take a liquid tank. If I find the right one. This one, where is it? There's one that's just jet. There's one that's just the jet fuel tank. Let's see if I can find it. There's aviation fuel tank right here. Alright, oh, Jesus Christ, that's huge. Where is it? There should be a small 1x1. It's in here somewhere. It's just liquid fuel, so we want to bring extra liquid fuel with us is all. We can reduce what's in there, but that's liquid fuel ox. Shit. Where is it? There, it's here somewhere. I saw it recently too. This one has liquid fuel in it. Let's run these. And so we're going to try to use ramjets to get us up to speed in the atmosphere. So instead of carrying oxidizer with us, which is heavy, we're gonna use it from the atmosphere. We're gonna steal it from the atmosphere. Alright, so that's pretty good there. Alright, good. I want to get these up as high as I can so they don't hit that, because I don't like clipping. So right about there is pretty good. Alright, good. Need some fins. Alright, so that's, let's do this instead. Let's go there and there. Come on. So these will be yaw only. Okay, I gotta do these in 2 pairs if I'm gonna do it like this. Alright, so this is gonna be for pitch and roll, no yaw. Pitch, roll, no yaw. And this is yaw only. Shit, these got duplicated again, I think. Alright, these are going to be pitch, roll, no yaw. Pitch, roll. This one's going to be yaw active. So yaw, pitch, roll. Alright, good. I think what we're going to do is drop these down as low as we can go there. Fuck off. Right in the black line. We gotta get them where I can see them. Let's see. Shit. Where is that? Right there at the top. And then this needs to go to the black line. Alright. Alright, so let's stage it. So stage 1 is gonna be these. Stage 2, this engine. 6 is going to be gear. Alright, and then I want parachutes as backups. Alright, so there's parachutes. Parachute's gonna be 9. Alright, there we go. Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I've made these before. This is, you know, by using the oxidizer in the atmosphere. Stand by. See if it's enough thrust. Might not be enough thrust. Might have to get it start. Nope, there it goes. All right. I didn't select the other gear. Wicked loud. Alright, before I lose my goddamn mind, gotta change the volumes. Alright. Yeah, so this is something that, you know, I talk about in Stormworks. Like, so see how we're having problems here? I can't get the nose up. The longer the tail, the better. So the further back these fins will be. This is a short craft, so we're gonna have problems. Like, watch, I won't be able to get the nose back up. Like, no matter what I do, the fucking thing is super loud. I just changed that. I gotta apply it. There we go. All right, that's better. So see, I can't get the nose up, so that's not gonna work for us. Again, this is where I get people getting confused with some of the stuff, but the reason is the longer the lever arm, the more of an effect your control surface has. So right now we have a really short lever arm. So I need to extend that lever arm. And so these either need to come down more, or they need to, let's do this. Let's do this. These either need to come down more and or add some at the top. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go down. We'll change these up here to do all control. So pitch, roll, pitch, roll. So now those are lower. They have a longer lever arm. So if we start putting on some of our stuff here, you see center of gravity, center of lift. Center of lift is back there. We're giving it a further effect, a longer lever to be able to turn this. We don't have much lift in the top, so one thing we can do is we can go ahead and add fins. Like we're gonna have no yaw problem, but what we're gonna have is we're gonna have a roll problem, or not a roll problem, a pitch problem. And so by going like this, see how we're bringing it up? So now this is just going to be for pitch. All right. That should help with that. Is it using mods? Oh, yeah, there's a lot of mods on this. This is one of the games I like to mod. Alright, so see, we're still not able to get enough pitch authority. Now, as we go faster, the fins are going to get more effectiveness, but we may never get to that point. So we're going to revert to launch, and we're going to go up straight. We're going to get some speed on. The faster you go, the more... essentially, what you're doing with your control surfaces is the lift is a function of the airflow over the control surface. The faster the airflow, the more control you're going to have. So one thing we can do from just a practical standpoint is we can speed up. Let the speed get up, and then our control surfaces will be more effective. I got to revert to flight. Revert to the launch because I didn't keep us on vertical for long enough. So we're gonna get some speed on. We're only doing 22 meters per second. That's only 40 knots. So at 40 knots, your control surfaces don't have enough air going over them to actually do much of anything. So now we're doing about 80 knots. So probably around, I don't know, 150 knots. So about 70 meters per second. We should start to be getting more, you know, more control surface authority. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll light up in a second here. It's going to burn a lot of fuel, but it's going to, we need it to get moving here. You know, Kerbal kind of went through a thing where there were some very unrealistic things that people could exploit, like you could spam a ton of intakes and essentially go up to unreasonably high altitudes using jet engines, because the, you know, you could just essentially keep using your oxidizer. The benefit of jet engines, right, is you're not having to carry your oxidizer. And so those jet engines are going to make it a hell of a lot easier for us to land as well. Now I'm going to shut off that central engine. I'm already going fast enough that I don't need the central engine. Now the difference between what I did last time and this time is I want to get a lower deck angle. I want to stay in the atmosphere longer to use the jet engines as long as possible, because I'm getting free oxidizer out of the atmosphere. So I'm dropping the nose to keep the jets in the good oxygen for as long as possible. And see my speed still going up. Now you can hear us slowing down. The rocket comes back on, and now I want to get out of this atmosphere. All it is drag at this point. The jet engines are going to shut off at some point. All right, so they shut off, so we're going to shut them off. Now I'm going to activate a little RCS to try to get the nose up. Nah, it's not going to do it. So let's go to map view. It's hard to tell what our actual delta V is because of the... Now the problem here is this engine is good in the vacuum of space. It's not great. It's really not all that good down low. So I have very little thrust right now. It's pretty fuel efficient, but very low thrust. We're still gaining speed. We're still doing all right. We just need to make sure we keep outrunning that apoapsis, and I can't get the nose up anymore because I don't have a gimbal on here, and so I can't get the nose up. And you see how we're getting re-entry effects? So we've got a ton of drag, so this is not going to work. So that engine's just not going to work. So we need to put a different engine on. Okay, so let's look at the mass. So right now we have a 1.8, and if we cut those off, we have a 0.6. That was part of the problem, is it's just too low. So that's going. And let's find a better engine for this craft. So right there, so that's it's 2 tons for 118 kilonewtons. This one is 3.7 for 400 kilonewtons, so much, much higher. Doesn't really have a, does it have gimbal? Free gimbal. So this one will gimbal. So if we take this off, right, it was 0.68, that's much higher. So that's going to be a better engine likely for this. Now, if we look at this, the stats again, look at this. It's got 119 kilonewtons and 200 kilonewtons in the vacuum. 220 fuel efficiency essentially in the atmosphere, and 370 in the vacuum. We're trying to get that efficiency, but it wasn't enough. So if we look at this one, 494, so it's not quite double, but it has more than double the thrust. So the thrust here was 118, so that'll be 236 thrust for would be double. This is at almost 500 for not double the weight. If we look at the IPS, it's a little bit more fuel efficient than the other engine was in atmosphere, but it's a little less than it was in what do you call it, in the vacuum. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and run this. And then I want to do this too. Let's do 4. So we have some drag off these intakes, and what we can do is we can shut them. So we can toggle intake. And we can toggle intake. And that way we can shut them as we are going up. So. All right, here we go. So we added 2 more tons of weight to this for that rocket engine. So we need to get us accelerated and out of the atmosphere, up into the upper atmosphere, and then we want to get it pretty low deck angle to gain as much speed. We might just do 45 the whole way up if we can. But my control surfaces, again, are going to have no real effect until we get up to a certain speed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help them along. Shit. I didn't add the rocket. I didn't put the rocket on a keybind. So we don't have enough jet thrust to just get us moving fast enough right off the bat. So what we're going to do is we're going to also... what is that? Okay, there we go. So we're going to launch it with the Rocket 2 to get moving. That's going to allow us to get fast enough that the control surface will actually work to help us control. And then once we get enough speed, I'll shut that rocket back off because it burns too much fuel down low. And we have to burn oxidizer. So there we go. That's going back off. Now we're going fast enough that our control surfaces are actually doing something for us. And now the jet engines are enough. So we're doing about 200 knots. So that's enough that the control surfaces have a bite on the air. They're not stalling. All right, I'm gonna start the engine back up. We're gonna get us moving. Shut the jet back off, shut the rocket back off, and now you see we're still accelerating with no rocket engine. We're at a good speed, so. And now this is only using liquid fuel, and we have liquid fuel in these outer tanks. Now you hear it slowing down, so that the rocket comes back on. And as soon as those jets shut off, we'll shut them off and we'll close the intakes. All right, there we go. 1, and what was it, 4? 4 or 3. All right, let's see. Yeah, so I don't know why there's doubles on there, but anyway. So we're accelerating nicely, and bingo, we can already stop. All right, we're at 94. So if you look, we don't have that much meters per second on board, but remember, we're going to use the jet engines to help slow us down. It's a much smaller vehicle than the last one. I went out to 90. I didn't mean to go out to 90. I meant to go out to 80, but we're almost at 100 um, kilometers. All right, let's do a 90 circularization. All right, so we only need 700 delta V, so that's going to give us about 500 left. And then we are going to use our remaining liquid fuel, so we should have enough liquid fuel to use the jet engines to slow us down. And the benefit of that is instead of trying to, like before, you notice we were coming in really fast, and I have to like hammer the engines to try to slow us down. To decelerate. With the jets, I could turn them on earlier, and I can very slowly decelerate. All right, once we're in 78, let's go ahead to the maneuver node. So we'll turn it to the maneuver node. And then if we look, we need 33 seconds. So we'll say 15, 17 seconds before we get to the apoapsis. We're going to go ahead and start our engines. And we're going to burn 767 meters per second off. So my favorite thing to do is I usually make shuttles, and I launch them on straddle launchers. So the straddle launcher is an airplane, and it only has jet engines. And its only job is to get up high and go as fast as it possibly can up high. So it goes as high as it can where it's still breathing oxygen, and it goes fast. It gets that shuttle moving fast, and it hasn't burned anything yet. And then what happens is the shuttle launches, and it detaches. And then the shuttle just uses its rockets to go ahead and push itself into orbit. There's a mod, I haven't found it again, but it allows you to go back to your other vehicle when you detach a part and land it. And so what you can do is then go land the the plane. So now that other engine would be more fuel efficient, but it'd have a lot less thrust. So we'd have to start much earlier, but overall we'd burn less fuel. And so essentially what we're doing is we're accelerating, and by accelerating the craft, the Earth is having a harder time pulling us back down. And you'll see, we get a second here. Bingo. Okay, so that's at 90, that's at 100, so that's fine. All right, so now we're in a circularized orbit, so we're not going to go down to the Earth can't grab us anymore. We're going so fast that as the Earth tries to pull us away, we're pulling away from it. All right, good. I'm going to go ahead and open up all of these intakes, because I closed some of them. I should have done both, and I didn't, so... because I need to make sure they're all open for when we come in. All right, good. All right, nice. So that's good. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead, and I've only got about 400 meters per second of delta V left. So we might have a problem with burning up here a little bit if I'm not careful. So that's going to use, ooh, that's too much. Shit. So I don't have that much fuel. So what we have to do is we have to extend that out till I burn less than what it is. So we need to use some of the atmosphere to slow us down. And so I'm going to do about 370 is fine. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to there. Because once I get in the atmosphere, I can use my jet engines to slow us down. So about there. All right. All right. Stop, stop, stop. All right, good. All right, so probably about there, and then I want to go ahead and go to the maneuver node. If I had trajectories mod going, I could use that to get us exactly where we need to go. It's installed, it's just not working, so. All right, so we've got 13 seconds, so at about 7 seconds, I want to thrust up. And so we're going to slow down. This is going to allow the Earth to grab us back, take us back. Now, like I was talking about before, if you can slow down enough, the reentry effect's really not going to do too much to you because you're slow enough. We're only pulling 300 off 2200, so this might be, we might burn up on the way in, we'll see. And also the likelihood too is that our nose is heavier than the base, and that might cause us problems where we end up shit, I'm late. Where we end up flipping, because whatever's heaviest is going to want to go to the top, is going to want to go forward rather. All right, so we got about 90 meters per second of rocket fuel left. Let's go to retrograde. All right, so now we're facing retrograde, and we're going to look at what we have for fuel left. We have a little bit of oxidizer we don't need, but we have 335 liters of fuel, which is going to be used by the jet engines. So we shut off the I shut off the rocket engine, and now when we get back in the atmosphere, we're going to go ahead and turn on the jet engine. We do have parachutes, so if things start looking grim, we can just launch parachutes and save the crew. So the issue is going to be heating. We might have heating problems on the way in, so we got to check that. I'll read chat here. Have you made a centrifuge? No. All right, so like we were talking about before, if you look at the speed, see the speed is going up and it's 1900. We had slowed ourselves down before in the other one to 1300. So we need the atmosphere to slow us down that much extra. That's extra friction, that's extra heat. And it brings us closer to the point where we end up burning up. So, you know, if we could keep a ballistic trajectory, then we do better. Now, likely with this build, we can add more fuel. Because we need the rocket to help us get up to speed. Once we get up to speed, the jets are good enough, and then once the jets start dying out, we need to turn the rocket back on. And it gets quite light at that point. You know, you don't have the same mass you had before. I just looked at your comments too, so I've been paying attention to the game. So you see how we're almost back up to 2,000 meters per second? So that's 4,000 knots we're banging in the atmosphere. So it's going to create a lot of heat. Before we were hitting the atmosphere about 1,300. So we're much, much faster now. So that could cause heating problems. All right, so see we're heating already. We'll have to check, see how hot it gets. Now, see how it's going to want to flip around? That's because it generally is probably going to weigh more at the top. And so one thing we can do is just to save a little electricity, I'll have it face prograde so that it tries to face forward. So we're getting a lot of intake air. It's fine. So one thing we can do is we can use see how it's getting hot? I'm going to pitch the nose up, and I'm going to try to burn off some speed quickly with drag by going ahead and using that. But see how we're getting hot? We weren't getting that hot before. See how we're starting to get hot? So I'm going to try to do some things like moves to try to burn off some of that speed. See how it's cooling again? That's because I'm trying to make a turn, and that turn is adding drag. There we go. So I've added enough drag with my turns that it's not going to overheat. So that's why you can do that with space planes. You can do that. All right, so now we're really slowing down. All right, I'm going to go ahead and tell it I want it to face retrograde. We're going to probably miss this. I do have the parachutes, though, so I'm trying to steer us back and get us nose up. Gears coming out to help with drag. So I'm trying to steer us. All right, we're going to activate the engines, the jets. Why can't I activate these engines? Huh. I can't activate the engine. That's interesting. So see how I'm able to steer a little bit? All right, I'm not going to be able to activate my jets, so I'm just going to go ahead and we'll pop shoots. Maybe. Why can't I deploy the shoot? Oh, we're out of electricity. Yep, we're out of electricity. That's all it is. We're out of electricity. So, okay, so if we had more electricity, that would have saved us. But you see how we were able to steer around and burn off some of that speed? Okay, good. So that's good. I'm going to name this one. So this, I call these VSSTOs. So vertical single stage to orbit. And then I'm just going to date it. And then it's 6/11/26. All right, good. That's getting saved. And then I'm going to make a new one. So let's see if I can get... So I've been playing with this a little bit today. So let's go ahead and see if I can get my shuttle going. I do want different gear, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'll find that mod later. All right, so one thing that's important is, unlike what we just flew, I want to make sure the front is going to go forward, so we have to be careful of that. So let's go to payload. We'll go to a re. And we'll go to fuel. So we're going to make sure the back doesn't weigh too much on this. If it does... Now, the other thing to do is there's easy ways to test this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in some fuel. All right, so if you look at the CG, it's way in the back. But if we go ahead and we drag this to nothing, we'll see where the CG is. Now, the problem is, it's actually not too bad. See where it is? It's about in the midline. We want that further forward so that as we come in, we can keep coming nose down. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab... I don't want that monopropellant tank. I want rocket fuel. So if we did this and we put rocket fuel in front like that as well, you notice we can push all the fuel forward, and now the front will go in when we come into land. When we go ahead and we take off, it's going to be in the back. It's going to be about more midline where we want it. So that works. All right, good. That's closed. Engines. Go back to using what I just had on there. That's it's a little bit low on thrust to weight, but we're going to get it moving with a little bit low. That is a little bit low. That's better. So now we got to test it again with no fuel, because we need to make sure that the the center of gravity is more than halfway forward, so that, or midline, so that when we keep this tank filled, that it doesn't want to flip backwards on us. All right, good. All right, and I'm going to look for, this is a mod, it's procedural wings. God damn it, I keep putting these backwards. I want, the black is supposed to be in the bottom, so this is problematic when it does this. All right. All right, let's go like this. I need the color to be correct here. There we go. All right. So these wings, we can add liquid fuel in. We can add liquid fuel oxidizer, monopropellant. So this is, I like this mod. All right, so now if you look, we can see how much fuel's in there. And then if we go ahead and we drain out these tanks and we leave the forward tank full, that's going to keep our center of gravity. So that's important to have your center of gravity where it needs to be there. All right, good. All right, so I need to reroute this. There we go. All right. All right, this is the move tool, so I got to click the move tool. I'm going to move that up until I can see it in the, okay, there it is. It's already visible right there. Okay, that's good. All right, good. All right, here's a heavy engine to sell. This is going to bring the center of gravity back some more, so I got to be careful with these. These have some liquid fuel in them. Then we have an engine pre-cooler. So this is a mod, but it's a good one. So this is going to add intake air. So the kind of the whole notion of this is they have these what the hell they call sabers, and they cool and compress the air down to the point where it's a liquid almost, and that that causes it so you can you know, operate a jet engine at very high altitudes. And then so again, we got to add in our fuel there. So, oops, excuse me, pardon me. There we go. All right, good. That's there as well. All right. So those are going to be our jets to push us. And then we got to, so what I'm going to do is pull these, see what the thrust to weight ratio is. And then that's looking all right. And then we want fins. I don't want fins. I want them. I'm trying to think what these are called again. Where is it? This one. Tail fin. It said fin. Okay. All right, so that's going to be pitch. I'm going to go ahead and do G, and we're going to flatten this out to a delta. I made some really cool, some of these before. That's yaw there. A little bit small for a rudder. That's better. I like that. And then we'll do the move tool here. Okay, good. All right. Oh, come on, come on. Don't do that shit, you sucker. All right, so that's just yaw. This is going to be just pitch. All right. And then we're going to put on ailerons. All right, there are ailerons. And those are just roll. Okay. I need to get that gear mod. I don't like this this gear here. I forget how to move my camera right. There we go. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I need to get the gear mod. I don't like the gear that this has. And you want them just behind the center of gravity so you can rotate properly. Where a lot of people don't understand how aircraft work, and they All right, good. So that is set up there. All right, so let's go ahead and we will start setting up action groups. So 1 is going to be the jets. All right, 2 is going to be all right, that's 2. 3 is going to be all the intake toggles. So we need to do both of them. Toggle, 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 toggle. All right, good. That's on 3. And that's about it, I think. Yeah, do we need anything else? I don't think so. All right, let's go ahead and spawn that. No remote controller, man. That's not a man control module? How's that not a man control module? I need to crew it. So where's the crew? There's crew. Just do them. All right. All right, there we go. Bro, how wild do you need to remake the ship hull video about Steamworks? What is Steamworks? Because it's so complicated. What are you talking about? What are you on about? I'm going to go ahead and push the, let me check some stuff real quick. Center of thrust should go back to center of gravity. What we're gonna anyway. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the move tool, and we'll slide, slippy slide that to right there. All right, let's try that. And that's also gonna put the gear behind the center of gravity a little bit more. There we go. All right. So probably about 70 meters per second. Let's call it 80. We'll rotate. There we go. All right, so it needs, I'm not getting enough leverage, so we'll probably need canards, or we'll wait till we get off the end of the runway. So once it gets off the end of the runway, we should be able to, until we hit something. All right, let's go ahead. We'll put some small canards on. I don't know what a Steamworks is, or what you are on about. Nor do I really care. All right, let's see. That's right there. So we're going to put some canards on here. Oh, Christ on a cracker. Let's do symmetry, please. There we go. All right. And that will just do pitch. All right. That's going to help get the nose up off the ground. Because, like, I should have the elevators be bigger and further back, and they're not. So it's making it hard for me to get that nose up. So probably about 80 meters per second, 160 knots. The engines are also, because the nose wheel's low, is also pushing the nose into the ground a little bit. So we'll see what happens on rotation here. I'll be a little bit more, okay. I don't know why they're breaking off like that. Okay. They have a mod for stronger joints. Let's see. All right, let's do this. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to do, for now, heavy connections. I hate this. They call it space tape. It's annoying. There's a mod to make it so that everything's stronger, because it was just silly to make everything floppy-doppy. God damn it. It's only did on one side. All right, whatever. We'll do it like this. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change out this nose gear to one of these. All right, there we go. And then we need to get the gear hooked up on an action group. So we'll do 6 for gear. Say extend retract. Extend retract. All right, there we go. All right, there we go. There we go. All right. Yeah, we don't have enough elevator authority. God damn it, I keep hitting M instead of escape. All right. We don't have enough elevator authority. Those are just not going to be big enough, so we're going to change them up. All right. All right, so let's go ahead to. I want to go to aerodynamics. I want to do a procedural wing. I also want to do some more procedural wing up here. God damn it. This is annoying when it does this. All right. All right. We're going to go G first, and this is just going to be the base for the movable wing, for the movable control surfaces. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and we'll take the, this is all moving. That goes there. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and get the base shrunk up and we'll match it. All right, there we go. All right. Oh. It's annoying when it's a right click and I keep. So that's going to be pitch for those. Let's see if I can move these in. Yeah, that's what I want to do, like that. Okay. And then I don't think we had any yaw problems, so I'm just for now, I want to throw this up for yaw. All right, let's run with that. And then I want to do this as well. Just liquid fuel on that. There we go. See if that will work for us. All right, here we go. Rotate around 80 meters per second. Yeah, they're not that big, so that they're not big enough. Keep it simple for now. Come on, symmetry guy. Right. God damn it. You know, it's fucking stupid how they made this game so that I have to put those space tapes in. It's so stupid. Then, you know, that's why they made the mod so you didn't have to do that, because it's ridiculous you have to space tape this shit. So I'll have to find that mod, because it's like, this is what builds look like. It was just shit dragged all over it all place, and it was gross and silly. And so it was like, and then they, the stupid assholes behind Kerbal 2 who, you know, ruined that game. They were like, oh, isn't it fun to have wobbly rockets again? It's like, no, nobody ever liked the wobbly rockets. It was friggin' stupid, and everybody hated it with a passion. You know, and they were using mods to get rid of it. It's like, why would you add that again? It was just showed how, you know, disconnected they were. Because it was like pretty much universally hated, the wobbly rockets. It was like, you don't think we would want them to engineer structurally sound stuff? Forgot I didn't have SAS or stability on. So kind of the goal with this is we want to use all this good oxidizer we got in the atmosphere for as long as possible. And so we already have a lower deck angle, we're at 30. We're climbing, we're still accelerating, which is good. We're just burning our liquid fuel, which we've got in the wings. We've got it everywhere. It's burning liquid fuel everywhere, but it's just burning liquid fuel. It's not burning oxidizer. So, and the wings are full of liquid fuel, so that can all be used on the way up. These tips have liquid fuel. You know, this looks slow, but we're doing about 400 knots right now. And so as we get up higher up in the atmosphere, we're going to be have a little less air resistance, and we'll be going faster. So the whole point right here is we're burning a small amount of fuel compared to what we'd be if we were burning a rocket the whole time. And we'd have to carry extra oxidizer, which is heavy, so we got to have enough thrust to carry all that weight. So now we're doing about 800 knots. Start to see we're going supersonic. And so we want to keep this going as long as we can. So we don't really want to leave the atmosphere. We want to speed up. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go to about 10 degrees here. Oh shit, don't you. Okay, I gotta add that mod that stops us from breaking apart for no fucking reason. It's stupid that the material strength is garbage. It really is. Yeah. Because it's like it's just so stupid. I can spam this everywhere. Spam these for no reason. It's goofy. It really is goofy. All right. How did that get weaker the more shit I put on it? Fuck this game sometimes, I'm telling you. It's so stupid, man. It really is. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to put that mod on so I don't have to do this. Let's see. This is SSTO 6/11/26. Okay, I'm going to go to Straddle Launch at some point. I'm just saving some stuff, playing with some ideas. I want to make a big lift vehicle that we can go ahead, because my favorite thing is making space stations, so I need to start that. So let's go ahead and start working on that. All right. And then we want docking port. Let's do port. Which one do I want then? Let's see. Or do I might just control it remotely too. I usually do this one remotely. Oh, it's already got a docking port on there. It's got this. Isn't there an open on this? Open hatch right there. Alright, and then we want to start going big on payload. Maybe I'll make it remote controlled. That's what I'll do. Alright. I'll make it remote controlled. So we need control. Ow. Alright, let's start doing tanks. I'll put it on top of the tank. Am I gonna have big enough fuel tanks for this sucker? Jeez, jeez. What diameter is this thing? This thing is huge. Like, that's not even big enough. This is the biggest one I've built, so I'm trying to see what it would even use. So I don't think I have stuff big enough for it. No, there they are. Okay, found them. So, like I was talking about, if you segment the tanks out, you can, you can then choose to move the fuel down, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to move the fuel down. So we want to go Probably like that, I would think. Alright. Probably just do 2 of those big ones. It's too much. Alright. Alright. And then I need an engine. Alright, so next actually I need to put a probe core on here so I can run this remotely. Bigger the better. Just because bigger it is, the better the reaction wheels are on it. So that is, let's see, probably this one is probably the best for us here. We're going to reroute it to this. Start new. And then what we'll do is we'll do this one here. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and let's do the fuel tank. Alright. There we go. Then we want a docking port. Let's go structural first, actually. Where was it? I saw something was in here. It's too big. Let's go structural. Find something. Right. Just gonna go to structural and build something in there. Right. That's where that will attach. I want a docking port. Okay. Come on, you gotta fucking stop. Don't go. This fucking thing. What's it doing? These same arrows that Stormworks has, and they're annoying here too. Stop. That's fine where it's at. I'm gonna take this out. This can go there. That's fine. Alright. Just need an attachment point. Alright, and then we need... That goes there. Alright, so I'm getting the vehicle to put our... It's gonna put our space station in orbit. Because I want a big old space station, then the shuttle will go up there and service it. So we'll do 2 of these so I can get the fuel as low as possible to help with re-entry. Where are the engines for this thing? This is enormous. Do I have big enough engines for this? I don't see big enough engines for this. I really don't. The hell are the engines gonna be for this? Sit still, boy. Yeah, I don't see the big enough engines for this. Also, let's start new. I'm gonna go with the smaller size. Listen, sit still, cat. God damn it. He's fucking frustrating, this cat. Yeah, you're frustrating. That's the Mark IV. Alright, that's the ERC-4. Where's the other one? Where are the big fairings? I'd probably jump off in a second because the cat won't leave me alone. Yeah, I don't see it. Up. Is that it? That's the size. That's the one. Alright. That's it. Okay. Alright, there it is. That's not that one. Where the fuck is it? Lost track of it because the cat wouldn't leave me alone. Is this one? No. It's one of the 8s. This here. Okay, that's it. This is the one here. That's the one I usually use, is this one. All right, there we go. All right, let's go ahead and do fuel tanks. All right, getting there now. We're getting there. All right, 1.99, 4,000 delta V. That's not bad. And that one's 1 with more delta V on there. Gonna do that, and then I want fuel tanks. Gonna have some radials on it. It's gonna have these. Let's get rid of that, and let's go do that. See what the efficiency is on this. This one here is 262,300. 262,300. That one is 2. Yeah, so this one's going to be more fuel efficient. And then we want to find some real good trying to think. Let's see. There's no way in Christ this is going to be powerful enough, but I need some good engines for in space. So those they're pretty low, but they're going to be really powerful and they're going to be really fuel efficient in space. So I kind of want those. What's the total without those? Yeah, so that's not going to be enough thrust. We can run them all. It's 1, so it's not even enough thrust for that. I need some good fuel efficiencies here. 318 ISP. What's this one? That one's 370. It's 100. What's 1.23? Still on the low end. Problem is, you can't tell the scale of some of these. That's better. And then what's the 315? That's not bad. Okay. What do these Griffins look like? That's 4,600. Looks pretty good there. All right. I want the larges. I don't want the mediums. All right. So that's 47. That's probably all right. All right. Some big ass grid fins. What's the battery on this? How much electrical charge? Let's find some electrical. I don't want a capacitor bank. I want a battery. Let's say that is. See what these look like. 8.3 per second. So there's the highest of these. That's also an 8.3. That will be a solar array for charging. I gotta open this up so I can actually see what I'm doing in there. Alright, and then we need a docking port. Alright, this one here. Alright, there we go. So that's going to be what's going to haul our space station parts up. Alright, so let's save this. This is the, Alright, VSSTO cargo 626. Until I come up with a name for it. Let's build ourselves our first space station piece. I don't have the parts that I want. That's the problem. They might be in utility, actually. Yeah, they're in utility. They're here. Okay. So I need another docking port. I thought I could connect these. I've done it before. So I need to be able to connect that. Huh. Let's see. Coupling. Yeah. Oh, because this one's extendable. That's why. This is the extendable one. That's why I can't, because it extends. Gotcha. I remember this one. Right. That's why. Okay, I got you. Got you. All right. That, I remember that. Okay. These are the ones I want. All right. That's the junior. I want this one. That's the one. All right. Come on, let me do it. Fucker. Yeah, so I need that, because the other one's extendable. There's, I think it was Alt or Control. That's what it is. It's Alt. Okay, it's Alt. If you hold Alt, it only connects to what it can connect to. To another part like that. All right, there we go. And then I can build the space station on top of that. There we go. We're in business. All right, let's go ahead and find the utility parts. All right, good. These are all the modules I was looking for. I'm looking for, I think it's under structural, start to be fairings. Yeah, I want to go the other way with that fairing. Usually I build the whole thing and then try to move it in sections. There we go. I think it's, is it this one? Yeah, that's the one. Alright, that's the one I want there, and then this goes here. This will go there. Alright, so that's going to be the main section. Then I need a docking port up there. What is this then? Radial attach module. Okay, so that can be attached like that. That's the radial part of it. Just want to cover on that, frankly. It's a flat adapter there. That's all I want there. And then let's do docking. What the fuck? Oh, where's the docking port? This is the one that... Dude, Cat is just so annoying today. He really is. He's just absolutely obnoxious. Obnoxious to a fault. And then this one's cool. You can extend it. Like that. That part's not going to be big enough. Just sit still for 5 minutes, sir. Sit still, please. Okay? Being such a pest. He's my buddy. He's my buddy, but he's being a pest. Won't sit still. Just pesty. Which is very pesty. I get you, buddy. I get you, buddy. You're alright. You're alright, honey. That's the one I want. Alright, that's the correct one there. Alright. Alright, there we go. And that's going to be the first segment. You put some solar on it. That would fit. That would be grand. Yeah, see, it's not going to fit inside, so. Not going to fit inside. Kind of like that one better. Oh. come to realize it's better just to do that. Cool, but they're taking up too much real estate there, so I gotta use something else for now. Holy mother, those are huge. That's good for now. Alright, good, good, good. Alright, so that'll be our first module going in. Let's get this done. Alright, let's start getting this staged up. Let's save this again. Alright, and then let's start going. So 1, it's going to be all the engines. We'll just get them all 1. 6 is going to be the landing gear. I don't like these solar panels right now. Let's open this up. Open that up, please. Open this up, please. Thank you. Alright, and then I'm trying to find something solar-wise. Probably all I need. Probably go in just a little bit so it's not clipping. What was that? Did the game just crash? If the game just crashed, I'm going to lose my mind here. I hope Kerbal didn't just crash. Yep, I think Kerbal crashed. Fuck. Yeah, unexpected Stack Overflow. I think that's going to be the end of that. So, let's see. All right, guys. Sorry about that. The game crashed. I've got it all saved up, so it's kind of good. Yeah, I've got about 1,200 hours in Kerbal, so I got some time in Kerbal. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up there. It's good getting back into Kerbal. I got a couple mods I've got to add, and then this vehicle will be good to be able to put the space station parts into orbit, and then that'll be nice. But all right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.